This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. It's straight to the point to respect people's time, and because we know knowledge and wisdom turn to business possibility, and possibility mixed with support and action become reality. In this podcast, we discuss leadership, sales, marketing, operations, team development, quality, and finance to drive sustainable results and everlasting impact to make the world a better place. Thanks for joining us.
I'm so excited to have you here, Shauna, the tax goddess. Welcome to the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast.
Aw, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What I am super excited. I don't think I've ever had anybody that specializes in taxes on the show. You're the only goddess, Shauna.
This is true.
Right?
Actually, we own the trademark. So no other goddesses. Absolutely not.
I love it. Shauna, for the people listening and watching, would you be willing to share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So Shauna, the tax goddess, we specialize in tax strategy. And the biggest question that we get is, well, I don't understand. I have a tax CPA. Isn't this what they do for me? Let me explain it this way. There are 660,000 CPAs in the US across all the US, according to Google. There are 60,000 with masters in tax, 607 that are certified tax coaches, CTC, and 15 that are certified tax strategists. So we are ranked in the top 1% in the country specifically for tax strategy. So our job is to get your taxes as low as legally possible. And our current average rate is 6.92% in total taxes for our clients. So pretty cool.
Love that. And those stats are amazing.
I think so. I really like them. We're this past year, we were at a little over 846 million in savings for our clients. So I love what we do.
That's fantastic. And I love that you like parachuted in with all this great info. I mean, that's some serious data and metrics.
The benefits of being a CPA, we do track numbers.
Indeed. And so you're already walking the talk. I absolutely love it. Shauna, share with me, and for those listening and watching, what's the best thing about being in business?
Oh, about being in business. For me, it's that I get to help people. I absolutely love, I'm a teacher and guider by nature. So I love explaining, I love educating, and the ability for us to do that for our clients and actually see the kinds of results that we do. That's what makes my bread buttered every single morning. So I love it.
So it's about taxes, but it's also about the people.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, honestly, my entire family about 800 years back, we're German, 800 years back, all small business owners. And I used to work for KPMG, one of the big four remaining accounting firms. And so, of course, learned all these super awesome tax strategies, but they were all for the big boys. And so when I went out on my own, which will be 20 years next year, so we're 19 years this year, but when I went out on my own, and of course now built the team up to 89 people around the globe within Tax Goddess, thank you, being able to take those big boy tax strategies and bring them down to the small and mid-sized business owners, that has really made me very happy. And I feel like I am doing justice to my 800 years of small business owner history in the family, so.
I love that. And I love the energy that you have about it too. So I just want to take note of that and celebrate you for that, because, there's some people that say like, oh, taxes, and they're not charged up about having to do this. And you taking all those strategies that's the big players, like you said, they have access to that, but not everybody, all of us, right?
And I never thought it was fair. I mean, the law is the law. And if it applies to the big boys, it applies to the little guys. So we just have to make sure that the knowledge is spread. So. Yeah,
I love that. So I celebrate you. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Sean, this next question, I love this question. I think I'm a systems guy. So what we see and what we hear is sometimes people are getting so much business, and I imagine you see this too, right? That sometimes what comes with that is a little bit of chaos or some overwhelm. Would you be willing to share your thoughts on that topic?
Absolutely. Do I believe it happens 1,000% every day in every business that has something that everybody wants? So for example, Tax Goddess, right? As I mentioned, when I first started, it was just me. And now I have 89 people on the team. If you don't build systems, you can't expand, you can't grow, and you can't serve. So you really need to be looking at, for me, the biggest thing was the idea of the $1,000 an hour job, the $100 an hour job, and the $10 an hour job, right? If you are doing the $10 an hour jobs and you're the only person in the company that can do the $1,000 an hour jobs, you better hire an assistant. You better start to delegate and figure out how to do that, because until you do, you will be the one working 20 hours a day with no sleep and dragging, going, oh, I have to go to work, right? Like, no, you got to build the system so that you can love what you do. So you get to do what you are best at and passionate at, those $1,000 an hour jobs. So
there's no way that I could love what you just shared anymore. I mean, sincerely. So Shauna, I'm constantly talking about this all the time. And I love what you said. And I've shared this with people like 10,000 hour, you know, the 1,000 hour, the $10 an hour. Would you be willing to share an example, something that comes to mind simply for you of that? Because people get tired of hearing me say it. So I'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, so a perfect example comes to mind. So one of my favorite team members, and I love all my team members, don't get me wrong, but one of my favorite team members is my executive assistant. So for me, my $1,000 an hour job is to look at new tax strategies, vet them, make sure that they're above board, nothing shady, no craziness going on, understanding them to be able to bring them to our clients. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at, that education, the learning, the training. Okay. My executive assistant handles the $10 an hour jobs that I could do, like checking my email or scheduling or following up with somebody, you know, whatever it is. And I could absolutely do those. But if I'm doing those, I'm not doing what I was born to do, which is be the tax goddess, right? So you have to have people in your team that can handle those different levels of jobs. For example, my managers are handling the $100 an hour jobs, which is helping me manage the 89-person team. So you really have to have all those people. And I know, especially for a lot of business owners, that first hire can be really scary because maybe you've never delegated before, or you don't know how, you feel like you don't know how to delegate. Or the most common issue that I've heard is, well, I don't have time. And I always want to cry when I hear that, because if you don't have time, you needed to do it yesterday. Is basically how that works, right? So I think one of the biggest things as a business owner that you can do, and sometimes it's as simple as grab a piece of paper and put down little tick marks, right? So write out every single job that you're doing right now. Are you checking email? Are you scheduling? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? Tax strategies? Are you speaking? Like what is it that you're doing in your job, in your role? And put little ticks. And if you see a bunch of little ticks next, check an email, it's time to hire an assistant, right? Get that off of your plate and delegate it. So.
Love that. All of it, every word of it. Shauna, that's great. And thank you so much for sharing. Not only just sharing the information, but you also give some actionable steps, which is amazing for everybody listening and watching. They love the actionable steps. So thank you so much. And great illustrations of that very thing. Because sometimes we say these things, right? But people they can't synthesize. They don't know what we mean by $1,000 task or $100 task. So thank you so much. Really appreciate your knowledge and you sharing. The next question is really fun. What other successful business people like yourself ought to be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm a big fan of finding knowledge that other people haven't heard of yet. So exactly as you just said, right? I hope he doesn't get upset when I call him this on air here. My Yoda, his name is Fred Croyne. He has been my business coach for, I don't know, let's call it 20 years. Okay. He's the one that taught me about the $1,000 an hour jobs. He's the one that taught me that hope is not, I'm getting all worked up even just talking about him, that hope is not a strategy. So anytime you hear the word hope, stop dead in your tracks. You got to figure out the strategy. Okay. So I would absolutely recommend Fred Croyne. He is one of my favorite business coaches on the planet. So thank you very much, Master Yoda. I really appreciate all the knowledge you've ever given me.
Absolutely love that. And that's right. You heard it right here. Hope is not a strategy. It's not a tax strategy. It's not a strategy at all.
Never, never, ever. You hear that word, you stop. Dead in your
We
tracks.
may have just hurt
Stop.
some people's feelings, Shauna.
Aw,
Hope is still there. It's just not a
it's
strategy.
there. It's not
I
a
love it.
strategy. Yes.
I love it. Thanks so much for sharing that. Let's get to the crux of this. I know you have limited time. You've got lots of people to serve. Shauna, with your vast knowledge in all these strategies and everything business-wise, what's one piece of advice that you would share with other business owners?
Ooh, okay. Specifically from the tax end?
It's up to you. You can even take two if you want.
Oh, you're too sweet to me.
You got me breaking all the rules.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay. The first one, I want you to question everything. Okay. And I know that seems, it just as you were saying, it seems super simple, but like, what do I mean by that? Okay. So I'm gonna tie it specifically to the tax world. We have seen case after case, thousands of cases where a CPA has told a client, no, you cannot deduct that. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some of my favorite examples of things that you absolutely can deduct in the right circumstances. And this is why questioning is so important. Okay. Dogs. If you have a big dog whose shoulders are taller than your knee when you're standing flat on the ground, that dog can be written off as security for your business. Okay. I've had a million clients tell me, my CPA never said I could write off my Great Dane. I'm like, yeah, he's going to qualify. You're fine. Okay. Second one, home office. Okay. We've, especially with COVID and everybody was working from home, CPAs telling people, no, you can't do that. It's going to cause an audit. No, it's not. Okay. This is absolutely above board. It's even on the IRS's website, how to do it, how to run the calculations. You're totally good. Okay. The next one, if you have children over the age of 7, you can absolutely write them off to the tune this year in 2023, $19,750 per year each through your business. So if you have 3 kids, that's almost $60,000 worth of deductions for your business. Okay. Now, why am I saying question? These are all, items that exist and they occur. If your CPA says no, I want you to go to ChatGPT, okay, and ask it, how could this be a deduction? Okay. Now, I'm not saying accept ChatGPT for proper tax advice. It is not a tax advisor. It will even tell you that.
That's why you have me laughing right now.
I'll tell you what. But what does it do? It helps you question what is being said, what is going on. Because the IRS only has 3 qualifications for something to be a deduction. It must be ordinary for your type of business. It must be necessary for your type of business. And it must be reasonable for your type of business. Okay. So I'll give the perfect example. We have a client that is a professional speaker. Okay. Her job is to be on stage, be in public, be in front of people for her. Exactly. Brad's on it. For her and for Brad. Okay. Physique, makeup, hair, nails, all of these things are a deduction for a professional speaker. Okay. But as a CPA, this lovely red hair does not get to get done up every time I go on stage, because as a CPA, that is not ordinary, necessary, or reasonable for me to do my job. So those are the 3 key words I want you to question anytime you hear anything related to taxes: ordinary, necessary, and reasonable. That's my tip today.
Love that. Such great advice. And I love the examples and illustrations of that too, because it just makes it really simple to understand. And I know that there's so much misinformation out there too. And look, nobody's out to get you, but these things happen, right? So question everything.
Yes.
And tell me the 3 things again: ordinary,
necessary, and
necessary,
reasonable.
And reasonable. Fantastic. It makes it really, really simple. You take something that's really complicated and make it simple. So I celebrate you. That's great advice. And I clearly see that you know your stuff, Shauna. I guess that's why you're the tax goddess.
Aw, I'll take flattery every day, all the good bits.
That's great. And hey, I mean, I need to be able to write off this hair too.
I'll tell you what, it's all about, thank goodness it's a video podcast, not only audio. You see, you're hooking yourself up, Brad. I like it.
No, that's great. I love that. Simple examples, but it illustrates what can change for someone, just some simple things, and how much money that you can save a client.
This particular professional speaker, we found over $190,000 a year that her CPA was not allowing her to deduct that absolutely qualified for deduction. So we're talking big money here.
Yeah, very, very significant. So again, taking some of those strategies that the big entities, know about, but that, some of us, all of us, us entrepreneurs, the ones who have less than 89 and people working for them.
Listen, I have learned it is not about the size of the company, but how you use the assets that you have at hand. So having an assistant, getting managers, helping you really do what it is that you are supposed to do on this planet, it makes a massive difference in your life.
I say that jokingly, but I also say it to highlight and showcase you. That is a huge feat in of itself. And again, I celebrate you for such a great milestone. So congratulations for
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Let's shift gears for just a moment, because I know you and I, we could talk tax, we could talk business, we could do this all day long, right? But let's switch gears for a moment. I'm always fearful of getting this wrong, but if I did, I'd just have to make a joke about it. But we work to live, not live to work, Shauna, and I'm sure that you share that as well in all of your hard work. Well, what's the most fun vacation you've ever had? I'm dying to know.
Ooh. Okay, so this is actually a really tough question, because I have traveled to 67 countries before COVID happened. So I can't wait. My first trip is actually next weekend to go back out. So I'm super excited. My favorite. Okay, can I give you top three? Will that work?
Sure.
Okay. Sure. So number one is Ireland. Okay. The red hair does have something to play into that.
It's a little bit of a giveaway.
A little bit. But I have never seen so many colors of green in my entire life. Some of the most friendly people on the planet. Absolutely lovely. Number two is Thailand. I love Thai food. Again, super friendly people. The culture is amazing. Some of the the temples, this kind of thing. The nature is beautiful. And then I think my third would probably be New Zealand. We went underground cave tubing with glowworms that lit up the interior of the cave to make the cave and the water we were floating on look like a star field, like stars. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. So there's some pretty awesome things around the world. It's hard to pick.
You had me with the green and the Ireland. Definitely with the Thailand and the culture and the food. I mean, the glowworm thing, that kind of threw me for a little bit.
It's pretty,
but I'm down for the challenge.
I was going to say, if you want the little bit of a story, the long story short, you were literally climbing down like a 12-foot ladder underground in a wetsuit with a helmet, with the light, floating in an inner tube down an underground river. And then at some point they tell you to turn off the lights. And at first it's, it's pitch black. You can't see anything, right? And then as your eyes adjust, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That sounds glorious.
I would recommend it.
That sounds amazing. I love it. And I'm sure you have many, many, many more stories.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't keep talking. You're right. I tend to go, especially when we're talking travel, I tend to go off. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it. I have one other really quick question. So you've intrigued some people. I know they're watching, they're listening, and they're like, God, that's really intriguing. And that's got my interest. And so I want to encourage something different. I know somebody's going to go and they're going to look on social media, or they're going to go to the website, which you're going to give us in just a moment. But what's something they won't find about you on all of that stuff?
Ooh, I feel like we're playing two truths and a lie. I think that's a good question, Brett. Something you won't find out about me. I'm not fluent anymore, but I used to be fluent in reading ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs directly off the wall. And so the last time I was in Egypt, about 10 years ago, was a good friend of mine and we were going through the Valley of the Kings, her and I alone. I was reading for her the stories from the wall. And when we turned around, there was a group of about 20 people behind us thinking I was an Egyptologist. So yeah, there's random things out there, and learning, which feels like the key of the day, learning is a huge part of life. And I hope that you enjoy whatever it is you're learning. So
I love that. I love that. I love everything you shared so far. It's fascinating. Shauna, the tax goddess, this has been amazing. Thank you for taking a chunk out of your day to be here, to connect with people and to serve. I really appreciate that. Kudos to you, highlight you. When somebody watches this, they listen to it and they say, wow, she definitely piqued my interest, which I know you'll do. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
taxgoddess.com. We are super easy to find. Taxgoddess.com. You can book with me, my team. We can have a chat and see what we can do to help.
I love that. And how simple is that? So easy to find. And there's a link down below too, in case you're driving or something. Not that anybody does, podcast while they're driving, right? Shauna, thank you so much. Shout out to you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for the way you serve.
Aw, thank you, Brad. Thanks so much for having me.
This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. If you're looking for more on leadership, sales, marketing, or operations to drive team development, higher quality, and high-level sustainable profits, we encourage you to join the Built for Brilliance community on Facebook or reach out to us about one of our mastermind groups, coaching or consulting, or even fractional COO services. You can reach us at buildbrilliance.net/contact. We thank you for listening, for sharing the show, and appreciate your rating and reviews, as this makes more shows possible. Thanks for joining us.